affect the masses. There's no excuse. You've been loosed.
This is From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Each week, Janice shares her wisdom to enlighten, educate, and advance the culture in America today. Janice Pons is a mother, author, and free thinker, and your host for our podcast this evening. Now let's join your host, Janice Pons.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Come on in. Come on in here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome. My name is Janice Pons. I am the host on this show, on this podcast, From Destruction to Dignity, Clinical Perspectives, Spiritual Truths. Boy, have we been on a journey this month. The month of November. The holidays are coming upon us. Thanksgiving. We're so grateful for our nation, the constitutional republic of the United States of America, as represented by our beautiful flag, as represented by our seal, our presidential seal, our White House, the House of We the People on Pennsylvania Avenue. All of this ties in to our Constitution, us flowing together as one, which means forming a more perfect union. That's what we're striving to do. And this month, I have dove all the way in. I'm all the way in. I'm in the deep water now. I'm in deep water. I'm in deep water. But you know what? I haven't told one lie. Not one. Somebody's got to speak up and tell the truth, because it's only the truth that's going to set us free. And we have sugar-coated things so long to the point that we're just saying, what are we dealing with? How did we get here? And what we've been talking about this month, and what we're going to dive into tonight and continue our journey. People say, how did we get here? How did this happen to our kids? Who put that curriculum in the school? Oh, good question. So we're going to continue our amazing journey. I want to thank you for your comments. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for jumping in. Thank you for scheduling October 12th, 2024. Where we have, now they talk somebody else said 1 million Mordecais and Esthers. 1 million voices are rising. I'm saying it's 210 million Americans in our great nation. And I'm calling on the churches, I'm calling on ministries to get your buses reserved now. Get your people pumped up and geared up, because we're going to show up at the Washington Mall. And we're going to have a prayer service. It's going to be powerful. The praise is going to go up into the atmosphere. Yes, I already see it. I see it. I see it. We're going to gather. We're going to have a day of fasting and prayer. We're going to appeal to our great Supreme Court. I'm hoping that our new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, will be there. I hope he'll be there. Because I tell you what, he's going to hear about it. Yeah, I'm calling on all these spiritual leaders, pastors, evangelists, teachers, prophets, and apostles. Those in the fivefold ministry, get your people to Washington on October 12th, 2024. I am believing that we are going to inundate our nation's capital on the Washington Mall to be in one accord, to stand strong, because we got solutions, because we have got to speak out regarding protecting our children. One of those pillars, go back and look at episode 136, where we put it together, fitting hand in glove, about the pillars of our great nation that our taxpayer dollars are paying for, and one is education. So I'm not going to go back and keep repeating all 5. Y'all know it by now. I had my best friend say, girl, you say the same thing 50 times. I do. I repeat that. But I tell you what, repetition brings recognition. Yes, it does. Repetition. Never forget that. I have a dear friend of mine that said that to me, and it so resonates within my soul. Thank you. Repetition brings recognition. And so in that light, this month we have been looking at the LGBTQ dictatorship. Dictatorship is when something's just laid out. It's just like, this is how it is. This is what we doing. And we don't need any input from this side or that side. We don't care what you think. This is what we doing. And that's exactly what's going on in our school system. The LGBTQ leadership of our children's education. And tonight, we're going to look at the process of healing and wellness. We're going to look at the United Christian Conservative Front's role in this process. Janice Pons is leading the way. Yeah. I step up. I'm fighting for these children. The UCCF. UCCF, United Christian Conservative Front. You'll be hearing more about it as we go along, because we're going to bring healing to our nation, healing and wellness. So that's what we're going to look at tonight. So we're going to go with the flow. You're going to see some things on your screen because I've got solutions. I am a solution-focused problem solver. And at a minimal, you know, my whole thrust with this podcast is to provoke thought, bring awareness, and us collectively going towards intervention. Let's go. My solutions. Listen, the United Christian Conservative Front. We are here. We are present. We are counted. And you know what we're doing? We're focusing on challenging the dictatorship of the LGBTQ perpetration upon our children's education. That's it. I've been a teacher, school psychologist. I'm a parent. I will be a grandparent. I'm a citizen, and I'm concerned about these children that are being traumatized in school. They're being taught sexual acts. They're traumatized. They're being traumatized all over again, Monday through Friday, and we're trying to figure out why test scores are low. Are you kidding me? All it takes is logic and deductive reasoning to figure out, oh, developmentally, can they handle that? Developmentally, what is a 6-year-old supposed to be taught? I started teaching my son how to read at 3 weeks old. By the time he was 2, he had the vocabulary of a 5-year-old. There were certain things that we were doing that focus on the basic academics, guys. We've gotten away from it. Our taxpayer dollars are paying for that. So what are we going to do? The United Christian Conservative Front, we're challenging that agenda and what it's doing to our children. What else are we going to do? We're talking about wellness. We're talking about healing. We've already taken a close look at history, and I can't say it enough. History is on our side. Remember, you can go back, look at last week, and just look at November. Pass this on to people, because I've done a lot of research with much compassion, much concern. I'm concerned. And as far as I'm concerned, the line of demarcation has been drawn in the sand. So we looked at history. We looked at what Alexander the Great did. And with boys and men having sex with boys in this great military. That was a culture in Greece. And then it continued with Julius Caesar in Rome. That's what continued. And then Emperor Constantine, a head of state. So you had these heads of state pushing that. The LGBTQ culture, their agenda, the way of life. It's just how it was. And it predominated Greece. Go back and read it. It's there. It predominated Rome. And then we had someone to stand up, Constantine. And he said, wait a minute. And they had the Edict of Milan. The Edict of Milan determined that Christianity was the official religion of the Roman Empire. And they led into laws. There were laws that were put in place that said, wait, no. You're not going to keep this up, boys with men. You're not going to keep this up, boys with men. You're not going to do it. Their morals, their values, their development is being accosted. And let me say this. A lot of kids, a lot of young people, they may be dealing with gender dysphoria. Well, they're not quite sure. Let me tell you what, I did the research. Up to 90% of them, it will resolve itself through the natural flow of maturity. It just will. Go do the research. Now you're going to have a slant and you need to see who wrote that. Who wrote that? I've been training all this child development stuff. I was a school psychologist. I had to know this, but I have discernment as well. You'll figure it out. Just leave them alone and teach them the 3 R's. Not teaching them how to masturbate, not teaching them how to fist, and our taxpayer dollars are paying for it? Are you kidding me? Are the churches okay with that? Are you 210 million Christians? 63% of us in this nation are Christians, believers. Are you okay with it? Are we going to sit around and just go, well, you know what? I know, this is what I do know. There's a dictatorship that has been put on steroids since 2015 up to 2023. Look at where it got us in 8 years. Where are we going to go from here? I'm going to tell you where they want to go from here. When you got the North American Man Boy Love Association saying sex by 8 or it's too late, you know what that means? They're coming for your boys. You got any nephews? You have any sons? You uncles? You daddies? You granddads? You pastors? You evangelists? You teachers? You prophets? You apostles? Are you going to stand up for these precious children, for these boys? They want to make pedophilia legal. Constantine said no. What kind of edict are you going to put in place? You're going to stand up for these children. So, we're talking about wellness and wholeness. We want the Supreme Court to step in to protect our precious children, our posterity of our great nation. We want marriage laws restored. Listen, if people want to be together with their civil unions, and whatever you do behind closed doors, whatever folk do behind closed doors is their business. It's none of my business. And I remember talking to gay friends, colleagues years ago. Why y'all so concerned about what we do behind our closed doors? Well, okay. So why we concerned? See, it's going beyond that. It'd be different if what you do behind your closed doors stays behind your closed doors. But now, it's front and center. It's in the public square, at parades, as men are walking around with the penises hanging out, shaking hands with 5- and 6-year-old children, normalizing it, teaching them details of how to masturbate and fist, and we paying for it. Are you okay with that? I'm not. So, in 2015, when gay marriage became the law of the land, just like they overturned affirmative action, just like they overturned Roe versus Wade, I'm going to say it. I respectfully submit that we restore the marriage laws that Obama said needed, that they had to stop defending, the Defense of Marriage Act. We need to defend a marriage between a man and a woman. Yes, I said it. Let me say it again, just in case you did not understand. We need to defend a marriage between a man and a woman. The Supreme Court can overturn that. What else do we need to do? Look at what's happened to America in 8 years, guys. Where is it going to go? Listen, this thing is out of control. And I know what they're trying to do with the laws. Remember the motto, sex by 8 or it's too late. They're coming for our boys. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1-year-old boys. What else do we need to do? We need to improve social environments such as prisons. It is a known fact that when you go into prison, listen, if you're going into prison to serve a sentence for a law that you broke, you should serve your sentence safely. And it should not be a part of the culture that when you go into prison, this is how they say it, you're going to get turned out. You know what that means? It means that when you walk in the door, pretty much in all women prisons, you're going to end up with a girlfriend. That's the goal. You got to get with a lesbian. Oh, but you're just there to serve your time. You'd like to take some courses through the universities that are there. Oh, someone told it to me this way. When you come in prison, when they went to the McAllister, the biggest prison here in Oklahoma, it was like, here's your deal. They said, you're going to get with the homosexual culture, you're going to get with the gangs, or you're going to get with the Christians. And that came out of, the mouth of someone who was terrified when he went into prison. They should be protected. We need to have, prison shouldn't be a place where they go in and they lose their dignity. We want to take them from destruction to dignity. We want to put training programs in place. We don't want it to be, well, you know what's going to happen, you know. And you remember when it came out, when they did the sagging thing? Pants hanging, men showing the crack of their behind. And the word was, if you could see the crack, it showed that they were available, and it became prevalent in the prisons. My nephew, I was at my mom's house a few years ago, and he had his pants down. I could see his underwear. I said, boy, get your pants up. Get your pants up. No one should be seeing your underwear but your wife and your mother. Oh, then I'm sorry. I said, where's your belt? Get your pants up. I don't need to be saying, why do you think I want to see your underwear? Why do you think someone needs to see the crack of your gluteus maximus? We need to improve our social environments of what's going on in prisons. Having cameras, having monitoring systems, having that thing set up that, you know, they're going to be, there's going to be accountability. And if you accost someone in prison, if you rape somebody in prison, they said when the guys come in, you can hear them screaming. God, stop that. Stop that. Whew. God, have mercy on us. Where have we gone as a society? We can stop this stuff. Somebody got to stand up. We can do, that's an idea leads to a law. There's a law that can be put in place for that, where they go into prison and they do their time. And if you perpetrate if they are molested while they're in prison, add on some time to whoever the perpetrator was. That stuff will shut itself down because there will be accountability. I'm calling on the courts. My God, the Court of Appeals, the Supreme Court. Come on, guys, y'all got to step up or we're going to vote you out. We got to get out. We have a conservative court right now. The Supreme Court, we can put these laws of accountability in place. What else are we going to do? We've got the United Christian Conservative Front, the UCCF. I'm leading the way. God gave me that title. It came forth in a discussion that I've had with amazing fellow Americans. And that's what's on my heart. We've got to unite, guys. It's 210 million of us Christians in this great nation. United Christian Conservative Front. We are the constitutional republic of the United States of America. Conservative means something. We believe in certain things. God, family, country. God, family, country. Family includes our children. There's a dictatorship that's been targeting our children and the curriculum that they've been exposed to. History clearly shows that faith, morals, and values make a difference. We don't need to make an excuse for that. We need to stand up and say, listen, guys, if we don't do it now, when are we going to do it? There are people trying to make laws to get to your boys. There are already laws in place. They have taken over the military, and there are women that are sitting in these trainings totally terrified. They're terrified by the trainings where they're being informed that all a man has to say is, I'm a woman. And they got to immediately change it in the system, and they got to go into the showers. What about the rights of the women? What about the rights of the girls? What about the rights of the children? Our faith, our morals, our values, just like Constantine. We don't want anybody burned. That's what they did back then. But they were serious about some accountability. We just want order. Christians can do what Constantine did. We don't want burning. We love our neighbor as we love ourselves. Am I talking to somebody tonight? We respect our fellow Americans. We respect. You can do what you want to do behind closed doors. Anybody can. Because what you do with your body, my Bible says that I will give an account for what I do with my body. You got to decide if that's the case for you. But I tell you what, when you're perpetrating what you want to do upon our children and our taxpayer dollars are paying for it, it's a different story. It's front and center in the public square. It's front and center with our taxpayer dollars paying for it. And we're not okay with it anymore. These pictures they're being exposed to, the traumatization process is going on Monday through Friday. We're supposed to sit around and then say, why can't their scores go up? They're being traumatized, guys. They can't think clear. We've got to confront the dictatorship of the LGBTQ. Whatever you want to do behind closed doors, y'all go right on. That's between you and God. But what we do with our children is between us and them. Us and them. What else are we going to do? Do you hear me tonight? We've got the Alliance Defending Freedom. Those are lawyers all over our great nation. They've already won cases in the Supreme Court. We're calling on the Supreme Court. They're going to hear us loud and clear as a united Christian conservative front. October 12th. 2024, put it on your calendar. Be there. I'll be there front and center. The language that I heard is that 1 million voices, Esthers and Mordecais rising, summoning. We're summoning you to gather at the National Mall in a massive solemn assembly of fasting and prayer. We're going to have a prayer service. But I say 210 million Christians. We need to show up. We got to save this nation. We got to save our children, guys. This thing is serious. From 2015 to 2023, look what's happened. In 8 years, there's a dictatorship that has taken over, and they have other agendas. They already have laws. They have lobbyists. We got to show up. We got to get involved. We got to show our politicians. We got to hold them accountable. And ask them, what bill do you have in what committee? What bill, the Child Sexualization Act, that our new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, he couldn't even get it out of committee. Why? Was it because he couldn't get it? Any of his colleagues are having a backbone? Is that what went on? Well, you know what? If you don't have any backbone, we need to vote them out. You need to be voted out. Give this to your senators and your representatives. If you're not going to stand up and fight for these children, vote them out. that means we got to run. If I got to run for an office, okay, God show me. But I tell you what, I'm going to keep speaking out. But I tell you what I am going to do. I'm going to pray, and I'm going to be at the Washington Mall, October the 12th, 2024. There's a lot of us showing up. I'm saying 210 million Americans will be there. Esther's and Mordecai's raising our voice unto our Father God, saying, God, have mercy on us at our prayer service. God, have mercy on us as we fast and turn over our plate and pray and seek God's face and turn from our wicked ways, the wicked way of perpetration upon our children. He said he'd heal our land. He'd forgive us. But we have something we got to do. Oh, yeah. So what else are we going to do? Listen, Ron DeSantis. Now, I don't know if he going to end up being the president, but I know this. I want you to stand with me in demanding that our third branch of government take a stand. And our third branch of government is the Supreme Court. It's conservative now. If we show up 210 million of us, they're going to say, did you hear the roar of the praise and the worship and the prayer of these Christians calling out to God to save America? To save our children. How can we stand by as Supreme Court justices and not protect our children, our posterity? The parental acts, the parental rights in education law, that was an act that was signed by Governor Ron DeSantis. Kudos to him and some of the things he did in Florida. And other states are joining on that bandwagon regarding sex education and gender ideology. You know what that law addresses? Teacher conduct. Listen, you can't just be in classroom because you're LGBTQ thinking you have full access to somebody's children and bring your own material. That's what was going on in New York. And parents got wind of it and they shut that thing down. That law that was put in place in Florida, it postpones any teaching of sexual orientation and gender identity until after third grade. We didn't get exposed into any of this stuff until we were sixth grade. No. Granted, we're in a different day, but I remember they took all the sixth graders to the cafeteria and we looked at a film about how you start your period. The boys went and they saw a film. The girls went and they saw a film. We turned out okay. Now they're teaching first graders how to masturbate. Guys, come on. They're teaching fisting and masturbation. It sounds hard. It sounds crude, but our taxpayer dollars are paying for it. Alabama has joined with Florida. They followed suit, and other schools and school boards are being pushed back on. The organizations that supply the curriculum and teacher training material are important to examine. And I want to respectfully remind you that Dictator-in-Chief Obama was the one that jump-started it and put it on steroids. And you know what he did? He appointed Kevin Jennings as a safe school czar. Kevin Jennings started the Gay Lesbian Education Network. That's where the curriculum started getting introduced. In 1999, he said this. I want to start a saturation process in the minds of kindergartners related to sexuality, and I want to normalize homosexuality in the school with kindergartners. And so 10 years later, in 2009, he was appointed as a safe school czar. He got put on steroids. So Obama exits in 2015. Let me tell you, he's still involved. You better count on it. He's still involved. He exits from occupying the White House, although his the one that came subsequent to him, his first day was to do an executive order, say, oh, boys can go in the shower with girls in our public schools. I think not. Listen, guys, do you get the picture? This dictatorship, the LGBTQ dictatorship of our children's education, and the United Christian Conservative Front, we want to bring healing and wellness. We want to bring accountability. I want you to join me. Put it on your calendar, October 12th, 2024. The Esthers and the Mordecais, we're going to stand up. We're going to be counted. We're going to shout to the Supreme Court. It's time to be heard. We've got to protect our children. Good night.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Janice's mission is to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point people towards intervention when needed. As a reminder, this show is not therapy, but for educational purposes only. For more information, check out JanicePons.com or follow her on social media.
Education, affirmation, dedication, information, revelation. A new nation. We are God empowered. Strength is ours. Liberty been set free. Education, affirmation, dedication, information.